Hunter, it is so nice after taking a couple classes with you. It's always so nice to see your name popping in. Today we are going to cover the welcome to Paragon. We're going to be covering some new fields and new features and things you're going to want to be familiar with. So we're going to give it about 30 more seconds and then we're going to go ahead and get started. First and foremost, if I haven't got to meet you yet, my name is Colleen DeLange. I've been an agent myself now for the last 22 years. Makes me feel old when I say it like that. And I am also here full-time on the staff of my RealSource. I get the pleasure of teaching at different associations around the state. And I am excited to take you on a tour of some of your new features and fields. And I'm also going to throw in a couple things that I didn't know about Paragon that might help you. So we're going to throw in a couple tips that I've learned that I thought, man, I wish somebody would have taught me that 10 years ago. So that's really the purpose of our class today. So nice seeing some familiar names popping in. And I think we'll go ahead and get started. So, Hunter, will you do me a huge favor? Will you just let me know that you can see and hear me and that you can see the screen? That would be fantastic. That'll let me know that the sound and audio is working okay. I only ask that because usually I do these from my home office, and today I'm actually in our Shelby Township office for my RealSource. And so a little bit different, so I just want to make sure everybody's able to hear me okay. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get started. So as I mentioned, one of the reasons for this class is when I started using Paragon, there was a whole bunch of tips and tricks that I wish someone had shown me that certainly would make it easier, easier to find things, easier to search. And we actually built some things here at my RealSource that I think really give agents the advantage. Because I don't know about you, but for me, I was getting a little sick of having people find properties, 10, 15 properties easier on a third party or IDX site than I was able to find it in the MLS. And that was a little frustrating. So I'm going to show you some great fields, some great features that you can do just that. You can find up to 30 properties by entering addresses into one field, pull them up quickly, text them right over to your buyers. I'm going to show you some basics on the Collab Center. We have a whole Collab Center class, but if you haven't taken that, I'm going to show you kind of what that is. And I'm just going to throw in some time-saving tips, again, that I think will speed up your searching. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn my fuzzy hair off and get to what we're here for. All right, so at this point, if you are not super familiar with Paragon, I want to kind of start with the basics. And basically, this middle section where you see my mouse right now, this is really the only section that's going to be different in what we learned today. Because basically, that middle section is now being presented by the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors. So you'll see great upcoming classes. You'll see messaging from UPAR. You'll see things that you need to know as a UPAR member. But these side panels are going to be basically the same, but mine may look a little different than yours. So here's your first time-saving tip, if you will. I have a little OCD and I'm a little right-brained, so I kind of like everything in a certain order. If you went to my house, every towel is the same color, folded the same way in my linen closet, probably a scary sign, but I kind of like it to be laid out in a logical order so I can find things quickly. So when I first went into Paragon, I always found myself scrolling down. I was scrolling down to find fields I needed. I couldn't find like financial features. I was having a rough time finding what I was looking for. So here's the cool thing about Paragon. You can customize Paragon in almost every way so that it fits your business. The first thing I did is I love having my quick search over here on the right. Again, because I'm generally teaching, I'm right-brained, I'm generally leaning more over to the right side of my screen. I'm right-handed, so if I use a mouse when I'm teaching too, it just makes it a lot easier. The quick search can also be customized so that you can find information without always having to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Okay, so keep in mind you can move these sides around. I like the ones I use the most to be right at the top. Like a little tip, they give you the Paragon news at the top. I don't know about you, but as an agent, I do not enjoy reading about the Paragon news, what's going on in software. That's great, but not when I'm trying to do a real estate search. So I want to have my quick search over here to the right, and I want to have my market monitor right on top for the markets I'm watching in case I want to access my listings. I want to see new company listings. I want to have all of that right up at the top so I don't have to scroll. If I want to see who's booking showings on my listing, I want to be able to use that showing time widget to see that. And I also want to see if I have listings coming up for expiration or clients that may need attention right here in my client portal, if you will. So how do you search fast for one property, one agent? And the answer is a nope. And it's really funny because when I teach this class, people say, you know what? I've been using the system a while. I never even knew that was here. And so right up here at the top, we have the power search. This is perfect if you are trying to find one property fast, one agent fast, one MLS number fast. It's basically kind of like a Google-esque search. So if I just got a call on a property listed at 1871 Cove, I can simply start typing that in, and you can see it's going to start quick filling those addresses for me. So I can now see, oh yeah, here's that 1871 Cove that's active. Actives will always show up at the top, followed by pending, and then down below will obviously be expired or closed or other statuses. If you're looking for a common address, you may want to click on all 10 of the listings it returned so that I could go through them fast if I'm looking for a particular one. But in this case, if it's active and it's 1871 Cove and I'm talking to that buyer on the phone, I want to find it fast, I can simply click on it from here. That's now taking me directly into that listing. I could, of course, go ahead and maybe schedule an appointment on that listing. I can go ahead and see all of the details on that specific listing. So it just makes it much easier to find. Oh, looks like I may have a pause in my sharing here. So I apologize. This is why I so much love working at home versus our MLS office. Pull that up a little bit quicker for you. Sometimes it's a little slower. We've got a few classes going on here in the building. So again, I want to be able to quickly find that listing. So as I can see right here, if I want to go ahead and schedule a showing on that listing, it's going to be right here. If I want to see if there's an upcoming open house, that's going to be listed here. But I also want to show you one of the new great tools that the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors is now providing their members. And that's the single property website. One of my favorite features, and it's basically this little check mark right here. This is a way that you can share your listings out onto social media. You can put a nice call to action, but I love the way it looks. It's very streamlined, very easy to share. And again, you can find it right here on any listing ticket. I'm going to actually use one that I got from a good friend of mine here. I never get the fancy ones that my good friend Tom here. He just listed this property. It gets, fortunately for him, it's a $3 million property, a little better than my fixer-upper. But I'm going to go ahead and click that single property website. And what that's going to allow me to do is it basically is something that's done completely behind the scenes for you. Okay, so this is a new tool given to you PAR members so that you can go ahead and share your listings, but there's really nothing you have to do. All you have to do is decide where you want to share it. So how the single property website works is you go in and you add your listing into Paragon. Within about 30 minutes, you're going to receive an email coming directly to you that says your single property website is ready to be shared. This is where you can go right over to the right, and you can share it on Facebook, you can tweet it out, you can put it on Pinterest, you can share it via email, or maybe you want to put it on LinkedIn. But this is going to allow buyers to see this home and go through these beautiful gallery style photos. By the way, a little secret, the end of next month, you guys will have the highest resolution photos in the entire state. I'll kind of show you an example if we have time at the end. But basically, the photos that you're looking at when you take these same photos and you move them into this higher resolution that we're releasing, you'll see an amount of detail and clarity in the photo. It's really cool. Quite honestly, as an agent, when they started throwing the numbers out at me, it meant nothing to me. But when I saw the same photo in what we have now versus what's coming, it's an amazing difference and how clear and how crisp the photos are. So of course you can go through, you can see the photos as an interested buyer, but the other things that this allows you to do as an agent, it will also allow you to have a branded video tour or a branded virtual tour. So let me kind of explain. There are 4 different fields for tours in Paragon that you have now. You have 2 unbranded tours and 2 branded. So everybody always asks, well, Colleen, what's the difference? Unbranded are what goes out in the MLS, because obviously you don't want your buyer seeing another agent's information on your listing, right? So that you want to make sure that things that are going out are unbranded. So we have an unbranded tour field. However, maybe you also have a branded tour, like, hello, my name is Colleen DeLang. I work for ABC Realty. Let me take you around my new listing. Maybe you've done a Matterport tour or virtual tour with your contact information attached to it. That's fine. We have places for that too. The interesting thing about the single property website is it grabs your branded tour first. Meaning if there's a branded tour in Paragon and you're sharing this out on social media, that's what it's going to grab. So when people click on the video tour, they're going to see, hi, my name is Tom Lipinski. I work with ABC Realty. Would love to help you get into this home. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So it always grabs your branded tour first. Of course, if you don't have a branded tour, it will certainly grab the unbranded tour. But when you're sharing it out onto social media, it allows you to share your contact information that way. Of course, when they're looking at your single property website, if they want to schedule a showing, they can click the schedule a showing button. This simply is sent to the agent so they can go ahead and set up a showing. It does not schedule in showing time, nothing like that. Just basically sends the agent an email letting them know that there's interest in seeing that home. Of course, we've got the remarks carrying over, and I like the clean, streamlined look. It's what most buyers like today. They can quickly see all of the information along with room sizes and measurements. As we scroll down, we can see a map or even get turn-by-turn directions to go view the home. Down below, they can contact the agent with one click. And down below that, this is my favorite feature of the single property website. If you are sharing on the single property website, it is only showcasing you, your other listings, and other closed sales. So many times I see agents working so hard and they're sharing out on IDX sites. So they take these great photos, they write these great captions and descriptions, they put in great remarks, and then they go and share it on a site where someone just bought the zip code or bought that area, and now they're giving all their hard work away to that person. Wouldn't it be great if you were sharing all your success stories? Well, that's what this does. There's no other advertising of brokerages, no other advertising of other agents. It's simply you and your inventory. The reason we also include solds and pendings are because let's say you just got a seller $10,000 over asking, you sold cash, you closed in 7 days, and you want to announce that success on Facebook. That's what the single property website is designed for. Remember, no matter who shares the single property website, it's always sharing your contact details. So the nice thing is, even if 8 or 9 people share it, they're all being directed back to you, making sure that you're maintaining the lead. Okay, so the single property website you can find, again, right on the listing ticket. It's these quick action icons that allow you to go directly into different products for that specific property. Okay. Some other great features that you'll find now as a UPAR member is you'll find deep linking to BSNA. And I am aware not every property up in the UP. I spent a lot of time growing up in the UP. I love it. I truly think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. My father had some property in the tip of the Keweenaw, and we spent many, many summers up there right on Lake Superior, which I never did find to be warm. But I have to tell you, it is absolutely stunning. But I know that not every community up there is participating in BSNA. So if they are, what BSNA and the deep linking is it's designed to take you into BSNA for this specific property. So currently, if I, as an agent, want to go in and find a record of a property, I had to go to tax information, I had to go to BSNA, wait for that to open, and then had to find the municipality, wait for that to load, then you had to add in the address. Now, with the deep linking in BSNA, you can click on this, and I apologize, it still looks like a garbage can. It's supposed to be a government pillar. When you click on that government pillar, it looks a little more like a trash can when you tried to mush it onto the button there. But when you click on that, it actually takes you right into the deep linking in BSNA. So it saves me from having to go through all of those steps of having to go in and find the municipality, then find the property. Now, let me also say, it doesn't waive a fee if the municipality charges a fee. It will still ask for your credit card at this point. It just basically takes all the work out of trying to find it from here. All right, so if I want to see tax information, if I want to see how many bedrooms does this home have, has 6 full bathrooms, perfect, 6,000 square feet, that must be nice. As I scroll through, I can see all of the detail. I can, of course, see the tax information here. I can see if it has a garage or a basement. I can also see sale history. More and more municipalities in this area are even including the water bill, if the water's been paid, because obviously water's attached to the property, so a lot of times I can see that, including assessment amounts that may be past due or upcoming assessments. So BSNA is becoming more and more of a tool that we really rely on, and you'll find that directly, again, kind of looks like a garbage can. I apologize, it's actually a government pillar, but that will allow you to go directly into that record. So we started off our power search by simply going in here and typing in an address. But let's say for a moment, I'm just going to use Punter. I ran into Punter at a restaurant, and Punter was telling me about a great property that's going to go on the market. And I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I would love to get my buyers into that property. So I can actually type in an agent name, and I'm just going to use mine just for the sake of our example today. But I could type in an agent name, and I could not only see the agent information of where the agent works, but I can also see a lot of properties that the agent may have listed, may have active. I can click on all 10 of them and open them up very easily. So if you're looking for an agent, especially if you're looking for an agent phone number or agent contact information, this is a great way to find it. Just simply type in the agent name in the power search. Again, this will work with an MLS number, it'll work with an agent name, and it will work with a property address. So if you're trying to find one thing fast, this Google-like search at the top can be really helpful. But now let's change gears. Let's say that we're gonna do a quick search. We just got a call and they are looking for a 3-bedroom home in a certain city with a basement. That's kind of really what this quick search is set up for. However, we've added a couple things to this quick search that may not be there, and if they're not, I would really encourage you to add them in. The first one is called full addresses. So let me explain. For 3 years, I begged Brian, our Chief Technology Officer, I said, you know what? It really aggravates me when my buyers are finding properties quicker on IDX sites, or if they call me with 10 different addresses, why is it taking me putting in 10 addresses to get all the details to text over to them? That seems like it's taking way too long. So after much begging, Brian said, well, how do you want it to work? And I said, well, I want one field that I can say I'm looking for a property on 1871 Cove Avenue. And I'm also trying to find 123 Cherry Street. And I'm trying to find 456 Nature's Way. And so you get the general idea. You can put up to 30 addresses at one time in this field box. Now, here's the cool thing. It doesn't matter if it's Cove Lane, Cherry Street, doesn't really matter because there is a built-in wildcard behind the street name. So even if it's Cove Boulevard or Cove Circle, it's still going to pull it up for you. However, then there's the next thing. What if they're calling and they're on a street like Gratiot, but you don't know, is it North Gratiot or South Gratiot? Maybe it's a divided highway lane like that. You can actually use an asterisk in front of the street name, and that will actually pull up North Gratiot, South Gratiot, whatever it happens to be. So if they don't know if they're on North Main Street or South Main Street, you can use an asterisk like you see here, and it will still pull it up fast for you. So the idea is I would want to be looking for, maybe I'm just looking for actives or pendings because maybe they've pulled them up. So maybe I'm saying I'm going to look for active, I'm going to look for pendings, and here's my addresses. As you can see, I've pulled up 3 addresses. I'm going to go ahead and hit search. And now it's going to quickly pull up these 3 addresses all at once. Now, when I'm ready to go ahead and text these over to my buyer, instead of doing them one at a time, I'm simply going to check them all off. I'm going to go up to the share button, hit text, and now I can pull from my contacts if I already have them in here. Or I can go ahead and simply add their cell phone number and their first and last name and text them out immediately. A lot easier than doing them one by one, that's for sure. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. How do you add your full addresses field if it's not there now? Now, one more benefit of the full addresses field I should tell you is you can copy and paste. So for instance, if you had a buyer who just emailed you 20 different addresses that they found, you can hit forward on that email, which basically just opens up that text. So generally what I do is I get the email, I hit forward because now the email is open. I then can go in, I just want to make sure that the addresses are separated by comma, so I don't have to go in here and separate them all out. That can be a pain. So what I do is, again, I'll forward the email, so just hit the forward button because now I want to open up that text. I do want to make sure that there's a comma separating in between them, and then I copy and then paste them into this field. Again, what I've just done is I've searched up to 30 addresses by copying and pasting what they sent to me. So I don't have to recreate all of that. Another field you are going to want to add is this UPAR MLS number. And I'm going to show you how to add both of those in just a moment. But the UPAR MLS number is really the number from your previous Paragon system. So before, and I kind of want to explain why all of these changes were made, because I know as an agent, I hate change, right? And it's difficult, it can be disruptive, but if I'm changing for something that's going to be better, where I'm getting more data, I'm getting more information, I can work a bigger area, I'm getting more tools like the single property website and some custom built tools, then I can see, okay, this is why I'm making this change. And I'm even going to have more features to search on. So one of the things that we ran into is when we now have data sharing with 97% of the state. So when you're sharing data with that many people, when we look at your previous MLS numbers, well, other people had used those previous MLS numbers in various ways too. So what we have to do is when we do data sharing, things get what we call kind of basically a renumber. It gets a new MLS number. So if you are looking up something, and this is just if you're looking it up from the old system, so meaning that your client has an old MLS number from 6 months ago and they want you to find it, and you only have the UPAR MLS number. Now, quite honestly, most of us today, we search by address, which is the easiest way. But if you only have the old UPAR MLS number, you can add that field, you can type it in, and it will still pull up that property record for you. So how do you add these fields? you're going to go up, and most every place in Paragon, by the way, is customizable. So if I go up to this little gear, which you'll see throughout the Paragon program, you can hit that gear, and that's where you can actually add or remove fields that you use commonly or you don't want to see in your quick search anymore. So let's say that there is a particular field, and I'm just going to use full addresses in UPAR. I'm going to take those out. If there is something that you don't use and you don't want in there, because let's face it, the technology people sometimes don't know everything we really use as agents, especially obviously with your geography being so unique. So you may want to take a particular field out so you don't always have to scroll past it. You can simply check it off, hit the remove button, and it's going to pull it out of your search. Then you can hit apply and it will save it that way. But let's say you want to add the full addresses in. Here's the easiest way to do that. Simply go to the find button, type in the word full. Bathrooms full, full addresses, and full service listings are going to pop right up. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit full addresses. We're going to add it in, and we're going to drag and drop it exactly where we want it to be. So if you want that up toward the top, you can simply drag whatever the field is into the order you want it to be. Same thing for UPAR MLS number. Just type in the word UPAR. That'll pop right up. You're going to hit add, and you can drag that into the location you want. Now just hit apply, and it's going to save it that way. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Oh, thank you, Punter. I'm glad. I know there's some really cool new features in here, but as an agent, you know, it's not like we go into all of these buttons and click on them all the time, right? So it's nice when you sort of have a quick tour of what you can do in some of these ways. All right, now I'm going to show you my favorite one. Are you ready? And Punter, this is going to be brand new for you. One of my favorite things is to reduce how many clicks and how long it takes to do things. So I'm kind of passionate about that. I hate having to scroll down all the time. I hate having to, you know, click here to go somewhere else. So if you are finding that you do something quite often, let's say you're running a hot sheet. A hot sheet is basically anything that's changed status or new listings or things of that nature. If you're doing that quite often and you don't always want to go to search and then the hot sheet, did you know you've got a secret little toolbar down here? And most people don't know this. So all the way down here at the bottom, right here where you see my mouse, and hopefully it's not covered with your GoToWebinar box. Did you know that you can link to almost anything in Paragon and do it in one click? Instead of always having to go search and then your class type and then open a residential search, what if I told you you could just add residential search right here at the bottom? You could just immediately click on it to open a residential search. Well, that's exactly what this does. This allows you to set up links that once you click on them, so I'm going to click on it, takes you directly to that. So let's say you wanted to, with one click, input a listing. What if you wanted to go into Cloud CMA with one click? Did you know that that bottom toolbar, you can put whatever you want in there so you can bypass all of those things? That's really what that's designed to do. So let me show you how it works. So if you go down to this bottom toolbar, again, you're going to find that gear. That gear is your quick action links. Just like I showed you in the quick searching, same concept. If there's something you don't want, let's say you've never used the hot sheet, you don't want that in there, but you do want to have, let's say, something in resources. Let's say you do want to have your RPR link there, or you want to have your showing time link there. You can literally check off showing time. You can hit add. Again, you can drag and drop them in the order that you want, and you can save that. Meaning the next time I go down to my bar, I have showing time right here. I can go right into the showing time system without all of those clicks. So keep in mind, this is kind of like a speed bar. If you're doing something over and over and you're thinking, oh, this takes a long time to, just put it on your speed bar. It'll take you right there. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, I don't think I addressed that. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in that questions box. Right now, it's probably minimized at the right-hand side of your screen in your GoToWebinar panel, but feel free to type in any questions as we go along. And you know, Hunter, you always make my day. Yeah, you know, it is so fun when you find these little secret tips that just save you time so that you don't have to keep doing the same thing again and again. That speed bar was a big one for me. Let's say you want to go right to inputting a listing. You can do that. You can pick exactly what you want to do quicker, and then just put it right in your speed bar at the bottom. Okay, so we kind of touched on customizing is a big thing, but really what this class is all about is some of the changes and some of the new fields that you're going to want to be familiar with, where to find them. Some of them were fields and now they're features, and I just want to apologize. I know right out of the gate, it was not an easy transition. There's so much unique geography up there that you were different. Again, we data share with 97% of the state. So when we're trying to match up the data fields, it's much harder than I would have ever imagined in my whole life as an agent. And Brian, you know, he is amazing, but when fields, we call them unique fields, when an MLS has unique fields, we now have to take those unique fields and we have to data share with, again, 97% of the state and make what's unique to that one MLS work so everyone else can see the data around the state, right? Or anyone that you data share with. Now, not every MLS data shares with everybody. We have some people who just data share over here, and some people who data share over here, and some people who data share with everyone. So when we're looking at fields, we use something called the RESO standards. And what that is, it's the Real Estate Standards Organization. And we try to, because it has to be understandable when it goes out to all these other MLSs, that's why there's the change. So sometimes it goes from a field to a feature. It might be called something slightly different. And that's why, because now it has to be standardized. NAR is leaning on this heavily going forward. They have for the last few years because they want to make it, whether you're working in Michigan or whether you're working in California or Florida, they want you to understand what those fields mean. And so there's a great movement underway, if you will, to standardize those fields and features. What is so unique about where you live, and again, spending a lot of time up in the UP, it's beautiful, but it definitely is unique in the geography. For instance, in all of our 97%, we never had people searching on the Great Lake. So when we were doing all of the mapping, that was something that we didn't realize and didn't take into account of how many searches you guys were doing on Interior Lake and Great Lake. So it wasn't there out of the box, and I apologize. It is there now. It's all backfilled. Matter of fact, I think to date when we were counting it up, there's over 500 features that we have added just for UPAR. On top of that, we didn't realize how many Wisconsin properties you had. When we counted it up, it was over 900 Wisconsin properties. So as we began, we had to quickly map out the state of Wisconsin and add those in and make those searchable. So it was a little bit more work after the fact than we would have liked. So I apologize, and no transition is never fun. And as an agent, I completely empathize because I hate change. It's disruptive. But I think you'll also, I had a really nice email from a UPAR member just the other day, and they said, you know, Colleen, I wasn't too sure when we started this system because, you know, I only saw garage, but now I realized you can do attached garage, 3-car garage, and I wanted to have electricity in the garage, and it has all of those, but you have to know where to look for it. And I know that's the change part, and that can be the hardest part. So I want to kind of go over that next. I want to go over features. I also want to point out when you're adding your listings, we've added sections of information that was really specific to you. Now, I also want to tell you, those sections are what we do on the listing import, everyone can see. So we had to try to standardize that as much as I would love to say just UPAR can see this, but it doesn't really work that way. So we tried to standardize what you needed in a way that it would make sense to everyone looking at it too, which is, I have to be honest, it's been a little bit more challenging than I think than we thought originally. So how do you find those additional features? How do you find that additional functionality when you're looking for buyers? So let's actually take a look at that. Let's pretend for a moment that Punter is working with the buyer. They said, here's our criteria. Where do we go next? So let's start there. I'll turn off my fuzzy here so you can see more of the screen today. All right, so when we're working with the buyer and we're looking for a search with a lot of detail. So as I showed you, if you're looking for one address, power search is great, right? If you're looking for a couple things, you're on the phone quickly, quick search, beautiful thing. But if you really need the actual detail of a search, that's when we're going up to this search icon and we're really getting into the detail. So in this case, I'm going to say that Punter is working with a buyer. They have very specific criteria. We're going to be looking for a single family home. Now, a couple of differences here. In type, when you're looking at some of those fields that you may not have seen before, so single family could be a condo. It could be a single family home, could be a farm, it could be any one of those. So if you're not sure what goes in a specific field, make sure you just click on that magnifying glass to the right. That is going to open up all the options for that specific field. Now, statuses, okay, this is one of those things I probably shouldn't say working at the MLS, but I'm going to say it. Some of the statuses I don't like. Some of them I like, some of them not so much. So let me kind of explain. If you are working with a buyer, you certainly want to know and be familiar with what these statuses are, because remember, you're not just seeing UPAR anymore. You're seeing data sharing. And even though UPAR may not participate in a specific type of status, you might be seeing it from a neighboring MLS listing in your area. So, or vice versa, they may be setting up a buyer and they may be looking for something in your area. So how status works is, of course, there's active, back on market, keep showing contingency, all those make sense. But there's delayed showing or coming soon. This refers to the coming soon, which was kind of set up through the Policy 8 movement that NAR put out there. Basically, what was happening is behind the scenes, agents were listing properties. So I'm going to give you the long version and hopefully the Reader's Digest short, right? We had agents behaving badly, around the country. And so NAR stepped in, they put something together kind of called the Policy 8. And the concept of it was if an agent lists a property, so I list a property and let's pretend I put a sign in the front lawn, Punter driving by, buyer says, hey, Punter, get me into that house. Now that's the house we need. She's calling, she's trying to get an appointment, and the problem with that is it's not in the MLS, right? So calling the number on the sign. Meanwhile, guess what happens? I now have the property pending because no one else could see it. That really became the issue, is that properties were being advertised for long periods of time and the only person getting in was the listing agent. So then Policy 8 was formed, and it says basically in Policy 8 that when a property is advertised, and that could be a Facebook post, it could be a sign in the yard, it could be a postcard mailing, sign in the window, and like in a condo sign, that means it's being advertised. And that means if you are not going to show it right away, you can put it in as a coming soon for up to 7 days. And it means up to, could just be 2 days. A homeowner might want to paint the living room, but that's what that delayed showing or coming soon status was set up for. Our system works like this. You can actually have it in the coming soon status for 7 days, and then after that it can roll over immediately into an active listing. So it's kind of like you're giving that, you have it listed, it's in the MLS, it's not like you're doing anything shady, it just might not be ready to be shown yet. So that delayed showing or coming soon, that's kind of where that evolved from. The status I really don't like, though, is the ABO status. It's truly not my favorite, and let me explain why. It's accepting backup offers. Guess what? We're Michigan realtors. We always have to accept backup offers. We have to accept and acknowledge, well, we have to let our seller know anytime we get an offer, and that's really license law, as you can't not present any offer. So we could always take backup offers, but this does something a little bit different. In this market where buyers are definitely challenged in finding a home and they get all excited with every home that they see, the ABO status is this. They'll look at backup offers. They'll accept any backup offer that you want to send their way. The home is listed as active, so you can show it. But technically, what you might want to know about it is it does have a pending offer. Even most times, we've always marked those pending. But now with the ABO status, what it means is the homeowner still wants to show it. So we're going to leave it active. Buyers are going to see it out on social media as an active listing. But what you need to know is when it says ABO on that listing, that really means technically there's an offer in play. It's been signed, but they're leaving it on the market to be shown. So that's one of those statuses you really want to caution your buyers. You don't want them to get all their hopes up and you find it, oh my gosh, it was really already sold. So not my favorite status, but it's in there. These are statuses we need to know because we're seeing them and our buyers are seeing them and we want to be able to explain what that means. Okay, next. So I'm going to say in this case, I am not going to send, maybe I'm not going to send my buyer any ABO. So you can pick one or all of those statuses. Next, sale or rent. I'm really just looking for things for sale for this buyer. Then get into what I thought was a little bit trickier when I first started in Paragon. So I'm going to show you your next time-saving tip and technique right here. It really has to do with that you see a lot more data now. As I mentioned, with data sharing with 97% of the state, you see a lot more data. And what I didn't know until I started teaching for the MLS is that there are 5 Clinton townships in the state of Michigan. Couldn't believe it. So if I'm looking and I type in the area, which is the way you want to search, if I type in the area or municipality of Clinton, well, the problem is how do I know which Clinton I want? So here's your next tip. The first 2 digits over here are the identifier of the county. So I'm just going to use one I know. I apologize. I don't know your area quite that much, but let's say I'm looking for the Clinton Township in Macomb County. I know the identifier for Macomb is 50. Okay, so let's back up one. So if I go into the area field and I type in Clinton Township, I know the Clinton Township in Macomb County is going to be this one because it starts with 50. But here's your little tip. So if you don't want to see all the other counties, there's a way to very easily just see the county you want. So let me show you. So in this case, I see the 5 Clinton townships. But if I type in Macomb County and I put that in first, and then I go to area, guess what? I only see the Clinton Township in that county. So if you're trying to see less and not having to decipher which one is in your county, let's use Houghton for a minute. So I'm going to say I am looking for Houghton. I can see quickly, oh my gosh, there's 4 right there, right? But if I'm looking for the Houghton in Houghton County, I can see that's going to start with 31, right? If I just select it and now type in Houghton, I only see the one I'm looking for. So hopefully that will keep you from trying to go through that list and trying to figure it out. Now, here's your next tip that no one taught me. Matter of fact, I don't even think we teach this in the classes, but I'm going to show you because it helped me a lot. When you are in area, so I know, again, I'm going to use my Macomb County. I know Macomb County here starts with 50. What if I want to see all the cities? Because what if they say, you know what, Colleen, I like everything in Macomb County except these 2 cities. Well, yeah, I could go in and type 60 cities in, but that kind of takes a while, right? Or I could say Macomb and try to filter those out, but that really doesn't work. What if I told you you could see them all and just select them and then deselect any ones that you didn't want? Well, you can do that in area. So let me show you. If you go to area and you go over here to this magnifying glass, if you will. So area allows you to pick exactly what you want in more detail. So what I generally do is I change the contains to begin with, and I type in the number and enter. Okay, as soon as I did that, you see, everything is now 50. These are all the Macomb County cities. So let's say I want all, but they're not too interested in Lenox and they're not too interested in Chesterfield. I can go through the entire list like that. You see, I can take everything and then just minus the 2 if that's what I'm looking to do. So let's do that again. Let's do that with Houghton. So Houghton we said was 31. Let's go over to our magnifying glass. We're going to change from contains to begins with. Type in our 31. Guess what? Here's our city list. So if we want everything, but they're maybe not too sure about Duncan Township, and I'm sure it's beautiful, I don't know that area, but let's say that's the only one that they didn't want. I can go ahead and simply deselect it without having to do all those extra steps. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. I know for me, when I was trying to, quickly figure out how do I do a whole county minus these 4 or 5 cities, especially when some of the counties have 60 cities in it, that can be a little more challenging. And if you're setting them up in the Collab Center, I don't want to have to preview everything first to take out those additional ones. So that's just a really great way to see all of the cities and select exactly what you're looking for that county. So again, county is going to eliminate a lot of excess choices, but if you want to do all of the cities, you want to see a nice city list, just type in that county identifier. Remember, you want to change it to begins with, and then that will give you your entire list. Now, if it's a really big county, and I didn't know this, you have to, it only shows 25 at a time unless you change it. So if you've got 100 cities in your county, there may be more than one page. That's the only caveat. So here in Houghton, there seems to be 21 is coming up. So keep in mind, it's a great way to do a really quick list and eliminate 1 or 2 cities. Okay. Jumping down, structure style, let's talk about that one. Let's say you're looking for a 1-story brick ranch. So that's really what a structure style is. If I go over to the magnifying glass, this is where I can choose 2-story, 1-story. Maybe I'm looking for a split level. Those are going to be listed there. All right, let's jump down a little bit. I know that there has been some confusion with bathrooms, and I kind of want to talk about that. We require a bathroom level. So it will tell appraisers if the basement has a bath, if the main level has a bath, and if the upper has a bath. It will be specified what level each of the baths are on. If you are like me and you are looking for more detail, you want to do halves. By the way, half bath is a lav. So I know some people were kind of confused in the terminology of half bath or lab, full bath, what does that mean? So keep in mind, if bathrooms total is not enough detail, you can add in bathrooms full and bathrooms, I'll show you. You can add in a field that breaks out bathrooms full and bathroom have, which are labs. So if you're looking for more detail, if you're doing a CMA and you want to be very, very exact, you could do it this way. And that will give you that extra level of detail. All right, let me scroll up here. When I was talking to some people from UPAR, one of the things that came up in the very early on was, this is not enough information, yes, no. And you're absolutely right. This is only kind of the filtering, if you will. As I mentioned, if I wanted a 3-car attached garage, I can do that. If I want a fully finished basement, I can do that, but it's a second level of detail. So that's really the biggest change I think you're going to notice, is that a lot of this is now located in features. We have added whole compartments of features just for UPAR because you guys are definitely specific in your needs. When it came to waterfront, so we have waterfront, yes, no. That doesn't mean that that's all you can choose from. We have waterfront with the options that you had of interior lake, Great Lake, but now they are features. So let's take a look at those in particular. Features work like this. Features will have must have. So let's say your buyer says, I only want to see a house with an in-ground pool. We'll use that example. You could say must have in-ground pool. I have a client over here who just sold her home in Lenox, and she found out right before closing, because we actually in our county, we have a pass and fail septic inspection. And you cannot close with a septic that does not pass. So I was kind of a mess, but anyway, it was going to cost her $17,000 at the closing table to replace her septic field with a raised engineered septic field, because hers was contaminating the ground. So when she called me to buy her home, she said, Colleen, don't even show me something on a septic. I don't want to see it. So if I'm setting them up in the collab center where it's automatically notifying these buyers, I want to make sure she's not seeing anything on a septic, because she's not going to be too happy. So you can actually say must have this feature or must not have this feature, because she doesn't want to see properties with those. Then there's must have one or more. And I'll show you some good examples of that. Of course, keywords are great, but really, I like to go in and see the features because there's so many to choose from now. If you click on that magnifying glass, let's say Punter's client said, gotta have a finished basement, okay? I'm gonna go to basement type, and I'm gonna say they only want to see homes in their collab center with a finished basement. Now, there's all different types of basements, by the way. As you can see, there's walkout, there's stone, there's side entrance, there's partially finished, there's unfinished. So the sky's the limit pretty much here. But there's a lot of features that you're going to want to be familiar with. One of the big changes for you, and I apologize that it's in a feature and not the drop down as it was before, but that is really going to be in the water feature section. So of course, Great Lake and Interior Lake are here. So if you only want to see properties for this buyer on a Great Lake, you're going to check that off, and they're only going to see things that the agent has selected Great Lake for, or Interior Lake as well. So you're just literally picking the options, but there's a lot of them in here. A lot of people were saying, well, we had creek, stream, and brook before. Well, yep, they're all here too. Canal frontage is here. Beachfront is here. Beach access is here. Pier or dock facilities. We have a Harson's Island over here. I'm sure you have a lot of beautiful islands up there, if I remember correctly. Isle Royal, somewhere I would still like to get to. Then there's lake frontage, lake and river access, pond, river frontage, seawall. There's a few I just want to point out too, because they were new to me. No gas motors, no wake lake, but one was commons to waterfront and shared waterfront. And this really was brought around when we brought on Claire Gladwin. And the idea here was they have some resort communities that it looks like the home front goes all the way into the beach and out into the water. But actually, it's a shared front where people can basically bring their, beach towels and sit on the beach in front of your home. And so it had to be disclosed. So commons to waterfront and shared waterfront, those are two that may be kind of new to you. Okay, at least they were to me when we had to add them. So another one that we ran into was electric and utilities. And I apologize, this is something I didn't know either. And Brian and I spent a lot of time, going through the list, but things like electric at street, electric at property, those were things that most properties, in the lower mitten, they have electric right at the property. So not a lot of use for electric at street, but where you guys are, it makes total sense. Wind turbine was another big one that we needed to add. So you'll find those in the electric field. Pretty much everything ZZA and on, we added just for you guys. We might have moved things around a little bit, but basically these are all really strictly for you. The utilities feature, cable available, electric available, natural gas available, propane tank owned, propane tank leased. These are where you're going to find those types of features. We tried to organize them in a way so it would make sense what category they would be under. Supplemental heat was another one. That was, we had to add, we had a few options for that, but again, there were a lot more that you guys needed due to the geography again. Shoreline, this was one we didn't have at all, which I'm really excited we got actually. Vegetation, wooded, rocky, sand, makes total sense, you would need that. Occupancy was another. We understood that you guys had an occupancy that you needed to disclose as occupied, tenant occupied, or vacant. Those are all strictly for you. So pretty much all these ZZ ones, those are ones that we added strictly on your behalf. The UPAR lockbox, does the home have a UPAR lockbox? First floor bedroom, main floor, full bath, all of those have been added down below. Couple that you might want to be familiar with, though, that I really like are financing. I unfortunately have a buyer, I say unfortunately because in this market it ain't so easy, who likes to buy things on land contract. And so even though he has enough money, he doesn't really need to buy them on land contract. He likes, I think, to make my life challenging to see what I can get done. So if you go to financial features, if there is a certain type of financing that this buyer's been approved for, like maybe 203K or rural financing, maybe they're HUD financed, maybe they're looking to only purchase on a land contract, you can actually search by financial terms. You can set them up so they're not seeing a lot of properties that they wouldn't be able to get into. So kind of cool tour, little tour of what's there. Back to that garage, we were talking about maybe they want an attached garage only. This is where you can put in that extra level of detail that's going to allow you to set your buyers up with just what they want to see. So you're probably thinking, okay, lady with the fuzzy hair, you've put in, a lot of detail there. I see 19,000 homes. Don't worry, we haven't put the most important one in, right? Location, location, location. Where are we looking? So I'm just going to scroll up and I'm going to now go into the map. I'm going to show you a couple cool things that I really like in the map. So I'm going to go into our search by map field here. Make myself a little note of something I don't want to forget to show you. Okay, so I'm in my map. This map works like this. And by the way, this is really cool if you're on the flip side. I know we're kind of talking about buyers right now, but this map, if you are looking for, let's say, comps for a listing appointment, did you know that you can actually type in an address into this field? This is one of my favorite features. And it's kind of like Google, so you want to leave off the drives and the ways and the places. But did you know you can type in an address and you can do comma the city and it will relocate you right to this address. Now, the reason I bring this up is because let's say you want to define comps within 1 mile of that subject property. You could go to search radius, do a 1 mile radius and find comps only within 1 mile from that subject property. So the map searching does some cool stuff. Because you're working a much larger area, what if you wanted to, let's say you're listing something about 2 hours away, okay? And you kind of want to walk through the neighborhood and see what the houses look like, or maybe you just want to see the house itself. Did you, and I did not know this, so I'm kind of pointing this out. Did you know if you grab this little yellow man over here, see this little yellow guy here? If you grab that little yellow man and you simply set him in front of your subject property, did you know you can walk down the entire street, the entire neighborhood? You could see the property to the left, you could see the property to the right. You could literally, this is kind of cool, this is a house I recently closed. This property right here, you see the little subject pin on it? This is the actual house that I would be listing if I was looking for comps. So now I have everybody muted right now. So if you do have any questions, just feel free to put them in the questions box. That's probably minimized at the right-hand side of your screen right now. So again, at the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a orange or red arrow. If you open that up, there is a questions box. If you expand that, you can type in any question that you have and I'll stop and go ahead and address it, okay? Because not everybody has their mic set up and then I try to unmute them and we spend 5 minutes doing that, just makes it easier. Okay, so if I want to tour the neighborhood, again, I can use that little Google man so that I can really see the property instead of driving all the way across town. Here's your next time-saving tip and technique. Let's pretend for a moment. So you're setting up a buyer. He really likes this area, but there's one particular area he's not interested. Maybe he just doesn't like this one area of the subdivision over here or one area of land over here. You can always draw a shape on a shape. Now, I did not know you could do this for a long time, so this was one I found really helpful. So you can actually go to the drawing tools over here, and I'm going to try to be kind of specific. So maybe I know that my buyer isn't interested in the area east of Shaner, and he isn't interested if it's south of 19, but he likes everything else in that city or everything else in that area. Did you know that you can actually draw a shape on a shape, and you can go to where it says edit here, and instead of including what would fall in that, instead of setting him up in the Collab Center, now he's getting all these homes that he didn't really want to see, I can actually deselect that. And that means anything that falls in that deselected area is not going to go to my buyer in the Collab Center. So I don't have to worry about him calling me frustrated saying, I said I didn't want to live in that, that part of the city or that particular area by the train tracks, whatever it happens to be. So remember, you can always draw a shape. Let me do that one more time because I went over it kind of fast. So if you have an area selected, and you could even do this with a whole city, by the way. Let's say you selected a whole city, but there's this little area of the city that they're not interested in. You can always go to your drawing tools. I'm going to draw my area, which, by the way, drawing is literally starting and stopping by clicking your mouse. Now you can see there's 2 comps there right now, but I want to exclude that area. So I'm going to go ahead, pull those out because he doesn't want to see things in that particular area. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. The next thing is, did you know that you can see lot dimensions right from this map too? So maybe your client's looking for a little bit bigger lot in a particular neighborhood. Now you do have to zoom in for this, and you do have to zoom in to be close enough where the lots are visible. That's the biggest thing. So if you're looking to actually see the lot dimensions, you do need to get in really close. And I wish they had a little bit better labeling on that, quite honestly, but let me show you how this works. If you go to, it looks like 3 stacks of paper right here. If you go to these 3 stacks of paper, or layers, if you will, this is where you can actually turn on things like floodplains. You can turn on parcel lines. So if I want to see how big this parcel of land actually is, do you see how when I click on it, it tells me that it's 85 frontage, and it is the perimeter and the area around. Do you see how it's actually giving me that level of detail? I'm just clicking in. I can see its frontage is 60 by 360. So it's actually laying that out for you. But you do have to get really close in on the map to see that. Deselect it. Another one that I think would be popular where you are, but again, not being from up there, I'm trying to take a guess here, would be floodplains. So in this particular area of the city, there is a lot of flooding. And I know as a fact that this Clinton River floods quite often. So if you are working with a buyer and your buyer says, well, I don't want to have to pay flood insurance, and you kind of want to see where the FEMA maps start and stop, then you might want to apply those same layers. And you're going to go to floodplain. Now here again, it's telling you you're going to need to zoom in. And as I zoom in, do you see where it just started applying the floodplain and it lists it out over here? So I can very quickly see. Now I always tell my buyers, this is not a survey. This does not mean for sure you're going to need flood insurance or for sure you're not going to need flood insurance. What it does is it gives you that visual indicator that you'll need to be aware of and ask the lender. So there's a bunch of different things that you can turn on or off in your map to give you those visual elements. All right, so let's see how many preppers we actually got. Now, one of the other cool things, about a year ago, they made this advancement that you can jump from the map to the criteria. So you can easily go backward and forward without having to step. Before you had to hit the back button and sometimes it would close you out. It was very frustrating. Now you can literally bounce from criteria to your map search, okay? Now we've done our search for our buyer, we can see that there's a few listings popping up The next thing I want to show you is how do you set up that buyer in an automated way? Now, of course, we could text these over to our buyer, but how do you set it up in an automated way? Let's face it, our buyers really like the fact that they can search on their own, which they can now with your HomeSnap app. They can through the Collab Center, but I don't know what it is. It must be a gift. I think it's the crazy hair or something, but I seem to attract, I hate to call them crazy buyers, but they seem they seem like they're high demand buyers, let's say that. So I recently, this is a true story, can't make it up in real estate, recently had a lady, she was a referral, and the lady who referred her was like the nicest lady. We closed without incident, it was beautiful. But then so I got this referral client in, and she literally called me, we just started working together. She said, Colleen, if you send me one more yellow sided house, I'm gonna find another agent. And I was a little surprised, one, because she never mentioned she didn't like yellow siding, and two, there is no button in the MLS that says remove yellow sided houses, right? So there is something called an agent preview where it sends it to you, the agent, for you to look at before approving it to go to the buyer. So you can say yes or no. There's also something called agent recommended. One of the trainers here and a very good friend of mine who's been in real estate a long time, I was showing around my buyers, and my buyers must have said it 50 times. They kept saying, Colleen, we're only going to live in Sterling Heights. Don't even show us St. Clair Shores. We're only going to live in St. Clair Shores. Don't even show us houses outside of St. Clair Shores. This is the only city we're going to, they must have said it 50 times if they said it once. She listed a house, one street outside of St. Clair Shores. So it didn't come up in their Collab Center because it wasn't exact, right? You put that exact criteria in, so it goes out that way. But however, I knew when I saw the pictures and she was telling me about it that it was really going to be the perfect home for them. So in fact, you can do an agent recommended, which pops it up in the Collab Center and then allows your client to see it and that you've recommended. And sure enough, we walked in, we wrote it right at the kitchen table, and we actually closed on it. So sometimes we, the agents, actually know more about what they're going to buy than the actual buyers. And that's really what the Collab Center is. It's a tool to communicate with the buyer. And by the way, it even drops stuff into the showing time carts. It's got some really cool functionality, but it's automated. So you don't have to keep searching all the time for the buyer. It's automatically doing that for you. All right, so let me see. It looks like we have a question, so I'm going to jump over here. Oh, I am stuck in the street view while on the map. I clicked the little man to see the street view. Okay, no problem. Up on the left-hand corner of, and I've done this, I did this myself, so don't feel bad because I've done it a bunch of times too. Up in the left-hand corner, you're going to see an arrow next to the address that it's referring to. So if you're on that street view, there is a little arrow to the left that when you click on it, when you're looking, maybe better to show you. Let's go back there. So we have somebody following along. They just got a little stuck. So let me go right back in here and I'm going to show you. So if you've clicked on, and tell me if I'm wrong, but basically there's this little yellow man over here and you put him on the map. The question is, how do I get out of the map now without closing everything? There is a little arrow right over here to the left. If you click that, it will take it back out of the map. Okay, so good question. I've done it myself, and then you get scared, like, how do I get out of here without losing my stuff? So good question. Okay, so now we've got our list. These are our homes that we want to send our buyer through the Collab Center so we can track what they want to see. I'm going to say, yep, we want to save this search as. So you're going to do a save search as. This is how you turn on the Collab Center. You're going to name your search. So I'm going to call this search for partner. I love that name. It's just, all right. So then if you have your contact in Paragon, you can associate it to that contact. What if it's a brand new person that you're turning on in the Collab Center? All you're really going to do is put in their first name, their last name, and their email address. So I'm going to put in my Sally seller here. In this case, we'll use a buyer. We'll use Bertha buyer. And then we're going to do the email address of bertha@mailmeter.com. Okay. So basically, I've entered that contact information. Hopefully you're seeing that. Okay. So I've entered that contact information, and now I have this search named. I now have it married to the contact record, and I want to just save and notify, meaning I just want to turn the Collab Center on for this person basically. So when you do the save and notify, what it's basically saying is, okay, I've taken the search that I've set up and I've now married it to Bertha Buyer, and I want to turn the Collab Center on so they get all the new notifications automatically. So the last step is simply this. I'm going to send the welcome message. It has a pre-generated message, but you can go into your preferences and you can make your own too. So just FYI. All you have to do is hit send, and now they are welcomed to the Collab Center. But let's say Punter has an investor and they are looking over several counties. So they are looking in Houghton, they're looking in a few other counties, and maybe they're getting a lot of emails. So they're getting constant emails because, you know, new properties are going on the market. You can also go into your options and you can say, okay, I just want the client to get it. Maybe they're getting too many notifications. I just want them to get it once a week on Monday at 9 a.m. Or maybe you want to get a report of everything that's been sent to the client once a week, Monday at 9 a.m. So you can actually send them out immediately, or you can actually reduce the frequency here too. Once we've got their site set up, they can start logging in, they can favorite properties. I'm going to show you that part in just a second. Of course, you can recommend other properties right from here. If they didn't get their welcome, you can resend it. But under contact information, this creates basically a mini CRM for you. My son goes to a little private school where we live, and so what I did is I set up an SOI, Sphere of Influence, because I do a lot of the water bottle handouts at the races, and I do a lot of sponsoring for different school events, and so I like to keep track of how many parents, you know, are using me from his school. So you can actually create a kind of a CRM or groups that you can track that. And you can also add secondary. So if you've got a spouse or you've got a partner or another investor, you can actually add a secondary contact and give them the notifications too. So they're able to go in and see things. So kind of you can just add multiple people here so they can all use the Collab Center and stay connected to you. It even has a tool if you're selling their home. So this tool is obviously for buyers, but if Punter has the home listed as well, well, then they might want to see any new listings in their neighborhood. They might want to see if anyone got a price reduction. So you can even set their listing up so that they can see sell side activity too. So it's got a lot of features. And by the way, this isn't a Collab Center class. We have a whole class on this coming up. I think we've got, gosh, is it tomorrow? I know we've got a couple coming up. But basically, there's a whole class on this, and we'll show you from beginning to end. There's a lot of features. I don't have enough time in this class to squeeze in, but it's a really cool class, and it does even more than we have time to cover here. But basically, when your contact goes into the Collab Center, you, the agent, get notified of everything they're seeing or new searches that are created. I can go to view or manage my contacts. The biggest question I get is I get people that will call and say, Colleen, where is the Collab Center button? You told me resources is my toolbox. I got all this great stuff, but where is the Collab Center? And it's so easy, it doesn't really have a button because it's simply a contact record that has a search assigned to it so they get automatic notifications. So when I go in, I can see when I added them to the Collab Center. I can see when they last accessed it. I can see their last notification that they received. If I set up that they don't want yellow siding, so I want to approve them, I can go in and approve those before they go to a buyer. But I can also see how many things they favorite. So let's actually take a look at the Collab Center. Again, you, the agent, are just looking at this through the eyes of your contacts. You've literally clicked on your contact records, but you can see the Collab Center just like they can. It will show you how many favorites they have, how many things they may have flagged as a possible favorite, items they may have rejected. So when they get these items, they can click on View Detail. This has got some cool features I'll show you in just a second. When they go into View the Detail, they can obviously see the photos, they can see the room sizes, they can ask you a question. They can even, and this is one of my favorite features, they can even tell you what time they want to see the property, because so many times I get the notification that they favorited something. Now I want to show it. I got to call Mr. Schmagegi. Mr. Schmagegi, when would you like to see this property? Hold on, I got to contact Mrs. Schmagegi. Now I got to wait for them to get back to me to set up the appointments. The whole idea here is that they can actually put in the time that they want to see the property, and then I can drop everything into showing time. So my favorite feature of the Collab Center is, one, that it's easy for the client to view. Two, did you know that clients can actually see the disclosures for the property in the Collab Center? So if the agent has added the seller's disclosure or the condo rules or regs, or if there's a resort community, maybe you have a resort community that has like master deeds or bylaws, things like that, they can see all of those through the Collab Center. But the important thing here is this client has favorited 9 properties. So when I'm ready to show these 9 properties, I don't want to have to type all of them into Paragon, right? I want to click on the number. That opens up all 9 properties. I want to check them off, and I want to drop them into the showing time carts. So I'm going to go right up here to Actions. Actions is kind of your plug into different programs. That's why it has a plug kind of icon. It basically takes all of these properties and says, okay, we're going to plug them in to showing time for you. All right, here's where it gets really good, especially I would imagine in your area. I want to add a showing time cart, okay? And the reason I want to do this is I want it to map things out for me. So I'm going to say tomorrow, I'm going to show my Barry buyer these houses. So what it does is it takes all of the properties from the MLS, which is great. I mean, and it puts them on a map. But look at how I would be driving. I would be driving like all over. As you can see, when this map loads, I would be driving in a very erratic order. I would be wasting a lot of gas. And with gas as high as it is, I don't know how high it is up there, but down here it's not looking so good. I certainly don't want to do that. So I want to first put these in a smart route. Smart route basically calculates the route, so I don't have to grab a map or grab my phone and try to figure out where to start. Okay, so it's now putting them in the right logical order for me. But it does a lot of cool things that most people don't know about. So let me show you. One, you can drag and drop. I did not know this for a long, long time. You can drag and drop these into the order you want. But here's what I really like. If Punter's running out to show these properties right now, we look and we see this is a go and show. This is appointment required. If we're running out the door right now, we probably want to start with the go and show, right? Because we want to start where we know we're going to immediately get the lockbox, okay? So if you're doing them last minute, this is very helpful. You can see right here if we're immediately going to get the lockbox or if we're going to have to wait for someone to confirm it. You can, as I mentioned, drag and drop them into the order, but I like over here, I can see that there are some grayed out times, or if the agent only allows one showing at a time, it will block that out. So I know that when I'm picking times. I can also see from here how long it's going to take for me to get from property 1 to property 2. It's approximately 12 minutes of drive time. So now if I have a short window, and I know you guys are, a lot of you guys are using Central Lock up there. We use Central Lock and Master Lock down here. A lot of those now have appointment window times, meaning that you can only get in 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after, depending on the lock boxes that you're using. So I want to make sure I am scheduling my appointments accurately. I can see I need 12 minutes of drive time, and we want to start at 9 o'clock. So I want to say, all right, I can see right here that there is a Central Lock on this property. I actually want to schedule it from 9 to 9:15. You can see I just did that with one click. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Now I can see it's going to take 12 minutes to get there. My appointment ends at 9:15, so I can clearly see I really want to show this. This does not have a central lock on it. And I want to show this one from 9:30. Maybe we're going to give ourselves a little wiggle room, maybe 9:30 to 10. Okay, so I can clearly see my appointment times and I can send all the requests at one time. You, of course, can, maybe you're starting from home. Maybe you want to add your home address in. You can add another address where you want to start and stop, or maybe you're taking a relocation buyer to lunch and you want to have the lunch stop in here as well. If you're like me, you get a challenging buyer, you can always add more listings. So if you're walking out and you got your tour all set and they say, great news, we found 2 more houses. Well, the good news is you can go right back to add a listing stop and you can put additional listings in. As I mentioned, it's as simple as dragging and dropping them into the place you want them to be. And then you can send all the requests that need confirmations. You can hit send requests, and it's now going to deliver those go and show lock boxes, as well as start working on those appointments to get in those. One of the other things I really like is once you've got these confirmed, you can also send turn-by-turn directions right to your buyer. So instead of your buyer saying, okay, what house are we starting at first? Oh, where are we going after that? What's the 3rd house? I can do all of that by sending them turn-by-turn directions. They know the exact order that we're about to go in. All right, so if you're like me, by now you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of information, you know, good stuff, but how am I going to find it, next week when I'm trying to do that particular thing? Well, remember, you have support as a UPAR member 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. In addition to that, I have actually recorded this class, so you can watch it anytime you need it. Our YouTube channel is YouTube.com/MyRealSourceMedia. I'm going to actually show you our YouTube video here. Hold on one second. I actually created a playlist just for UPAR so that you can see all of the classes and all of the unique features just for you guys. When we're doing the listing input class, I'll also be showing you sections that were set up just for listings that you're adding. So there's some really good stuff there too. So I'm going to show you our YouTube channel. Again, it's My Real Source Media. So if you just go to youtube.com/MyRealSourceMedia, click on the word playlist. When you do that, right up here at the top, we've put the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors so that you can find those classes easy, and every single class. Hopefully you're getting this beautiful sorry about that. We just did a Paragon Advanced class. This is kind of more of a new fields and features class, where to find those. But we did a lead generation class just recently. All of those classes are listed here. All you have to do is fast forward to the part you're looking for, or if it's a new class to you, you can watch it. Remember, you have support, so if you do have questions, we know that transition is never easy, but remember that you can go directly to support. Now, you have some great tools with UPAR. You have the new single property website. You have Cloud CMA. You've got new fields and features, and we know that that takes some time. So should you need support, there's a couple different ways. Of course, you can call, you can send an email to support. I like to kind of talk to a real life person. We have a support channel here on YouTube for you. But if you're just feeling like you need a little bit more support for your type of business, or maybe you watch the classes and something just isn't 100% making sense, you can always go to our My Real Source Facebook page, and we have a spot where you can type in under services. You can actually click on services, and you can type in your name, and you can let us know that you might need a little bit of extra support. Please do let us know that you're with UPAR, and we offer complimentary 30-minute Zooms. So just like this, except you get to talk and I get to talk, and we get to actually have a conversation. We have a lot of great tech support people here who can walk you through anything from club. Maybe you have a question on club, but you also have some Paragon questions. That's that extra level of support. So keep in mind, we do offer complimentary Zoom meetings. They're 30, we give you up to 30 minutes, and we do ask that you give us, a couple days leadway. Don't say I'm ready in an hour, because it's, obviously a little tough. I think we ask for a 3-day leeway. And when you set that up, you can even specify if there's a certain trainer that you want to meet with. Maybe you had a great conversation with one of our trainers when you called tech support and you like that person. Maybe you'd like someone like me. Whoever it happens to be, just put that into the description, and then we reach out to you, we send you a Zoom link, and then we meet with you and we cover any questions that you have on those topics. So I know change is hard. We appreciate your patience. Hopefully you can see now the benefit of getting some new tools, a lot more features to use, a lot more detail that you can add in, things like the quick action links into BSNA, the single property website, more data, more fields, and more features. And hopefully that makes up for some of the transition and having to learn something new. My name is Colleen again. I'm going to be sending out a survey. If I missed a question, I think I did miss a question. If I missed a question that you had, or there's something you're welcome, Teresa. If I missed a question, or there's something you would like to add, or if you have positive or negative feedback, fill that into the questionnaire. It just lets us know. It takes less than a minute. It's only 4 or 5 questions. Just kind of lets us know if we're missing the mark or if we're hitting it. Thank you, Punter, again, for the nice words. Always so nice when I see your name popping up. And I will be following up. Yes, I would love to help with that in any way I can. Take the CMA class. I know we've got lots of classes coming up. I'm also going to be adding some more classes here. I'm going to reach out to your leadership today and try to get a few more scheduled. So thank you for your time. Happy selling, and I hope you have a fantastic day.